Hello and welcome to Nationwide. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the public spiritedness, Nigerians and organizations standing up to be counted in the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. Duindia has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari commended members of the Nigerian Private Sector Coalition against COVID-19. They are Aliko Dangote, Abdusamad Rabiu of Board Group, Femi Otedola. Others are Tony Elumelu, Albert Wigwe, Shegun Agbaje, Jim Ovia, UBA Bank, Access Bank, GT and Zenith Banks respectively. The president also thanked every helping hand in the vanguard of encouraging others in the private sector to do same, while extolling individuals, groups and organizations in their efforts at curtailing the spread of the disease. The president expressed optimism that the country will overcome challenges brought by the pandemic and chart new course in nationalism and brotherhood. Nabuja, Doing Dia, NTA News.
To talk more on COVID-19, we have a guest in our studio. He is the president of the Nigeria Medical Association, Dr. Francis Faduyile. Coronavirus is spreading in Africa, Europe and America, even the UK. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has tested positive for the virus, going by Downing Street. And that happened this Friday. Now, first of all, let me welcome you to Nationwide.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
How hopeful are Nigerians in the containment effort of COVID-19?
Well, our hope is largely on what we'll do in the next few days to be able to guide against community transmission of COVID-19. Since it has been brought into the country, and we have started having cases of transmission from those who imported it to the country. What we needed to do now is to halt it. And in halting it, we need everybody, every Nigerian to be ready to take that big leap of faith and activity so that we can stall the movement of that COVID-19 from a person to the other. It entails all of us being able to follow the guidelines as have been given to ensure we improve our hygiene. We make sure that we wash our hands regularly with soap and water, and there are some special there are some ways in which we must do that. It's not just normal casual washing. Okay. Those who cannot get the soap and water to wash regularly, you should ensure that they use alcohol-based lubricant at least to wash, to clean the hands regularly also. It is also important for us to keep social distance. And it has been found world over that one of the major ways of stalling the transmission is by the social distance. So Nigerians must follow that. But if we cannot do that, we must also ensure that we stop human trafficking this viral illness to the other person. And that is why we have advocated for lockdown to ensure that people are not moving and carrying these viruses.
Yes, that actually was leading me to my next question, because we've actually heard earlier in somewhere you said that you believe that the lockdown will be an effective measure against the spread of COVID-19. Can you expatiate further?
Well, if you follow the story of COVID-19 in this country, 2 weeks earlier, before our international airport and borders were closed, the Nigerian Medical Association came out and said, look, it is time for us to be able to guide against Nigeria being infected with COVID-19. Why do we say that? The health system in this country is weak, is not strong, and we believe in prevention. It is when we prevent this COVID-19 entering this nation, then the cascade of events that follows, we may not bother. But we have allowed that to happen. And at the end of the day, when people came in, you see that over 70 to 80% of those who are infected with COVID-19 are those who migrated into the country. So it means that it was imported. Now we have epicenter in Lagos, and we are having some 1 or 2 cases in other parts of this country. Why it has not gone around the whole country? We must ensure that we do not go beyond this transmission. When everybody stops movement for 14 days, and the good thing about viral illnesses is that either you treat it or not, around 14 to 21 days, the body immune clears it out. So once our body or those who are infected clear them out and we do not have further infection, it means that Nigeria can come back without being a COVID-19 country. But what do we need to do? Somebody has it in Lagos, possibly he enters the vehicle, he goes to any part of this country, it now becomes an index case, and that area becomes infected. Somebody picks it, goes to the village, the events that will follow it may be very, very complex and complicated. If everybody locks down and the virus cannot move to the next person, it will be stopped. But it is difficult because you want to look at the economic value, you want to look at other social interests, but either we like it or not, the economic, the social interests and other interests that Nigeria had that made it difficult for us to stop the international flight or closing our border, we got to that position.
Okay,
So,
now, doctor, let me ask you this. We are staring at this pandemic right in the face. It's in our faces, we can see that it is real. Now, in your own opinion, do you think Nigerians are committed to stamping out this?
well, nobody will want anything that will disturb his or her own comfort level. But those who knows the effect, the rippling effect of having this catastrophic blowing all through the country will take concerted effort to make people to believe and to do what is necessary. If we continue appealing, it will get out of our hands. Okay? We must do something very urgently. We have a very few days in which, if we do not tap in, if you look at the history of COVID viral infection in America, when it first came, the president of the country was telling us that flu is more deadly than COVID virus, so they should not worry. But today, 40 million Californian people had to lock down. We have epicenter in New York, a lot of, and in fact, some of the messages that are coming out are showing that America is overwhelmed. They are looking for more health personnel, and even their their supplies are overwhelmed. Do we want to get to that position in Nigeria? If we don't want to, look at Italy. Italy, at a time, we were recording over 700 deaths within 24 hours. Look at what happened in Spain. And it was because that critical time that they needed to intervene, that they needed to stop and let everything got frozen. And we cannot that virus cannot continue transmission. If we miss that critical point, we'll come back here and we'll still have to do it, but at a greater cost.
But there's hope.
We have hope that we'll do the needful. We on NMA, we have called on the president of the country, President Muhammad Buhari, to use the executive order to ask every state of the nation to have this lockdown and let us contain this COVID-19 infection.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
It shall not get worse than this. We pray and hope so. Thank you for coming on Nationwide. We've been talking to Dr. Francis Faduyile, the president of the Nigeria Medical Association. We still have more on COVID-19. In what appears to be a major upset against coronavirus pandemic, the government of Nasarawa State finally locks down all major population centers with restriction on movement, religious and economic activities until further notice. From Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed reports.
Nasarawa State has no confirmed case of COVID-19, but its proximity to the nation's capital is raising concerns that necessitate adopting proactive measures. It is confirmed a suspected case of COVID-19 is on isolation in Lafia as government awaits the outcome of the results. Social distancing phenomena as preventive measure is not fully implemented as Governor Abdullahi Sule, Deputy Governor Emmanuel Akabi and Emir of Lafia test negative.
I came in contact with about 2 people as a result of carrying out my responsibilities, and those 2 people have found out to be confirmed cases. So I believe I should show example by going in self-isolation. I'm happy to tell you that yesterday at 6 p.m., after they carried their thorough test, my own result also came negative.
Markets and motor park authorities are enforcing directives with hand-washing application of sanitizers and face masks. On the state of the economy, the state government is to cut down government expenditure by 60%, while other palliative measures are being worked out. In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
Oyo State today starts the stay-at-home initiative for public service between level 12 down. What is the situation and happenings in the state with that directive? We now join Rufaya Anima Shaun Badmos live in Ibadan for an on-the-spot assessment. Over to you. I hope, Rufayat, you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rufayat? It appears she cannot hear me. We'll get back to her. Let's go on with more reports on Nationwide. Now we'd like to join Dotun in Lagos for their contributions. Dotun, is over to you.
And welcome to Lagos. As the world continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, social distancing comes handy. Annie Daniels visited some bus stops in Lagos metropolis and interacted with some commercial bus operators on their compliance. Here's the findings.
It's quest to discourage the spread of COVID-19 in the state. The Lagos State government advised that commercial bus drivers and their conductors should wear face masks, hand gloves, and have sanitizers in their buses. Not just for them, but for the passengers.
I'm not aware, madam.
You're not aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Me, I'm a conductor. I haven't seen anybody contacted with it before in Nigeria and in Lagos here.
The one I've been wearing since yesterday by night is abstained. So I'm looking for another one.
That was the case at virtually all bus stops visited. Commercial bus drivers and their conductors were all about their businesses without any of the personal protective equipment. Although the directive by the state government discourages transport operators against overloading their vehicles, urges passengers to fully observe spacing. Social distancing, do you know about it?
I don't know. I don't know about that one. No.
But now, why this man coming down now is because they want to carry 4 passengers and collect 150 for each person.
The onus is on the driver to actually say, okay, one person should sit here. But since he didn't say that, I think I wouldn't have to impose that on him.
I think Lagos has close to 22 million people. So the state can only control the state-owned buses by saying, okay, in a row, we are going to take only 2 people.
With issues like these, respondents advise that concerned authorities should go the extra mile in bringing to the consciousness of Nigerians not just the presence of coronavirus in the country, but its effects on the people. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Now, meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has extended its enforcement of the government directive on COVID-19 to markets, shopping malls and stores across the state. Jesuton Moses reports that the Police Commissioner, Akeem Udumosu, went round to ensure total compliance to the directive.
Following the directive issued by the Lagos State government on Tuesday, March 24th, the State Police Command extended its enforcement further from social gatherings and religious centers. The Police Commissioner Hakeem Odumosu led other officers to markets, parks and other affected areas in Lagos Island, Ikeja, Mile 12 and Lagos mainland.
Equally now, we've moved to the markets. We've gone to Lagos Island. We've seen that the whole Lagos Island, the Dumota, Idimago, so it's total shut down in self-compliance. One thing is that we did not force them to comply. They comply voluntarily.
Mr. Odumosu at Motor Park discouraged drivers from loading number of passengers that will violate the social distancing requirement.
This virus is on and it's spreading. Once we move closer now, everybody sneezes. Everybody comes here.
The police commissioner charged residents to ensure strict compliance, which he stressed is to the advantage of every resident, as government has the responsibility of protecting and securing citizens, particularly as the global community battles the common enemy, COVID-19. In Lagos, Jesuton Moses, NTA News.
Nationwide continues after this break in Abuja.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate all over the globe, including Nigeria. With the number of infected persons in Nigeria increasing daily, prevention is better than cure. Coronavirus has no cure. The virus spreads from one person, who affects two persons, and by the time the affected person is isolated, the two persons have affected four, and it keeps spreading. You must take preventive measures to save yourself and that of the people around you. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Put distance between yourself and others. Whenever you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Stay at home if you're sick and contact the proper authorities. Together, we can cut down the spread of the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
My name is Yemi Adetunji, the COO downstream of NNPC. Ever since the closure of the borders, we have seen a marked reduction about 10% in terms of the evacuation of what you call loadouts of PMS, which equates to about 6 million liters per day, essentially because of the border closure, because of certain aspects we've also done as NNPC, working with our sister organizations, sister agencies, Nigerian Customs, DPR, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and other agencies, and also what we call Operation White, which is an intervention we have put in place to trace and track every molecule of petroleum products as they arrive in country through the vessels, as they move through the depots, and as they are evacuated with trucks out of the depots.
Okay, guys, let's do this. Action.
You can deceive everyone, but you certainly cannot deceive me. I see you.
But if the package is faulty, there'll be no buyers.
So I suggest you sit down and have a talk with your husband.
So you have faith. Everything is possible.
You heard him, right?
You needed help and I helped you.
This place will do so. The boss will walk in wolves.
You mean you still work for Matthew Osage?
What?
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Thank you for staying. We now revisit Oyo State, where the government's stay-at-home initiative for public service between level 12 down started today. Now we join Rafiat and Animation in Ibadan for an on-the-spot assessment. Rafiat, if you hear me, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lydia, and thanks for joining us in Ibadan. As of today, Friday, 27th March, the state government already issued the stay-at-home order that the officers from level 12 down should work at home. And a visit to State Secretariat today shows that the compliance is 100% from the civil servants. Also, a visit to public institutions and banks shows that to a certain extent, people are seen around. The issue we have presently is the social distancing. It is not 100% fully implemented by people. A visit to bank shows that people are seen, maybe because of the last-minute rush to pick cash, people are seen queuing and of course in close contact with one another. So, and of course the state government is making different measures at ensuring that people stay safe. The directive was issued to Oyo State OITMA, Oyo State Road Transport Management Agency, to ensure that motorcycles and tricycles reduce the number of passengers that are carried. Yes, that is the update we have here in Ibadan. I have here with me the Commissioner for Health Oyo State, Dr. Bashir Bello, who have further updates on what is happening in Oyo State. Yes, sir. About the isolation centers, what is the updates?
Thank you very much. In Oyo State right now, we have within Ibadan about 4 isolation centers and 1 at the Lautech Teaching Hospital of Bomasho. As for the one in Ibadan, we're having the Agbami unit, which is at the Jericho Chest Hospital. It's a 10-bed hospital, 5 for male, 5 for females. Apart from that, the University College Hospital has readily 4, which are extending to 16. Not only that, the military hospital at Udubu Barracks also has about 4-bed isolation centers. However, in his wisdom, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Oyo State, who happens to be the head of the COVID-19 task force in Oyo State, has ordered the conversion of a whole big hospital, while viewing it that should in case we are prepared for the best, but not unprepared for the worst. So he had ordered the conversion of the Olodo Hospital to an entire Oyo State Oyo State what will I call it? Oyo State Center for Epidemic Diseases. That is the IDH, Oyo State Disease Epidemic Hospital. Now, the important thing therein is that hospital is now at almost 80% readiness. The beds are there, the isolation department is there. The only things we are waiting to put in there, which will be done probably within the next 48 hours, is to put some specialized equipments. This has been an hospital meant for maternal child health. But because of the dictates of the situation and the conversion, so we have to be working day in and night on the express order of His Excellency, and that is getting ready for us. Any further questions?
That is the updates here in Ibadan. Back to you, Lydia.
And thank you to Lydia.
Many thanks, Rafiat. Now, the Defense Headquarters has debunked the rumors making the rounds about a pending military lockdown due to coronavirus pandemic. The coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, disclosed this at a news conference in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
That actually there was a misinformation like that, out of misinterpretation of a document that was, stolen, that was not properly interpreted. That the military was going to enforce lockdown. No, there's nothing like that.
The military, a multi-sectoral agency, has silently but progressively played active role in the ongoing measures to counter the spread of COVID-19. Apart from upscaling the number of its medical facilities for isolation and treatment of confirmed cases, the Defense Headquarters has also developed a twofold approach to support the fight against the scourge.
The medical approach is the deployment of military personnel in aid of all ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government. We have 17 medical facilities spread across the country, which have been designated for isolation and treatment of confirmed cases of the COVID-19. We have also concluded plans to recall our retired medical personnel.
Under its non-kinetic drive, the armed forces assured Nigerians of its commitment to human security efforts of the federal government. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Thank you, Ismail, for that report. And we have live in the studio Major General John Enenche, the coordinator of the Defense Media Operations, to throw more light on that matter and other issues. Now, General, first of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, my dear.
Now, General, from that report we just heard that the Defense Headquarters has increased its capacity on tackling COVID-19, especially with the increase in the facilities for isolation and treatment. Where are they located and how accessible are they for the general public?
Thank you very much. Initially, we had 4 centers located in Abuja, the Air Force Hospital along the airport road, Reference Hospital in Kaduna, Military Hospital in Port Harcourt, 68 Reference Hospital in Lagos, and we increased it to additional 2, making it 6, with Air Force Hospital in Makurdi and then the Navy Hospital in Calabar. And furthermore, we have increased them to 17. And these 17, in summary, cuts across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, going by our formation divisions. That is where we are now, particularly for the locations that we can handle isolated cases and then treat.
Okay. Now, what are the measures in place, put in place by the armed forces in curtailing the spread of
Yes,
COVID-19?
we have measures put in place. The first important one that we've been doing from when the issue came up vividly in Nigeria, those of our colleagues that were outside the country for one thing or the other, for seminar, short courses, as you come back, you must self-isolate. And after the self-isolation, 14 days, you will be tested before you can now come back to work. Amongst all the other measures of hygiene, and we have translated this down to the unit level. All the formations, the services, Army, Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force, they have all been directed and it is being implemented. All the security, safety measures, hygiene measures are provided with all the equipment needed. They are all there.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, General, we want you to clear the air on certain reports concerning the casualty figure in the recent encounter between the armed forces and Boko Haram in Gorgi.
Yes, the first report, the first figures we gave is what we call first contact situation report. Why we do that is to curtail, to counter false reports and then fake news by mischief makers. So we gave the report as it happened. But now there is an after-action procedure that is normally conducted almost immediately. And the team was raised and they went to the incident site and then confirmed. And now the confirmed figures are, as I gave during the press briefing today, 29 were killed in action and then 39 wounded who are adequately being managed in Maiduguri, and they are all responding to treatment. But of course, I will have to stress here that it was not the kinetic action or the combat action of Boko Haram that killed our troops. It was more or less of something like this normal in life situation. Self-accident, I will call it. A bomb exploded in our logistics chain, the echelon that is following, or that was following the fighting chain. And that was what happened. And it was the explosion that gave us that casualty. However, it is good to point out that the fighting troops, the fighting echelon of the Nigerian army, of the land component of the Operation Lafia Adole troops there, they cleared over 100 of them. Confirmed by the team that went down, and it was a successful operation. Gorigi was cleared, the Aziz was cleared, and that was what happened. So that is the clarification as it is now, the correct figure.
It was really sad anyway, but we thank God for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on Nationwide.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We've been talking to Major General John Enenche, the Coordinator, Defense Media Operations. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
The 24-hour curfew imposed on Kaduna State has taken effect, with human and vehicular movements halted to curtail the growing risk of outbreak of the deadly COVID-19. Major Ma'a Adamu in Kaduna is standing by for a live update. Hello, Major Ma'a. What is the situation in Kaduna?
The situation in Kaduna is very calm. The desired result is being gradually achieved. We are talking about 24-hour curfew imposed in the entire state. Initially, it was partial lockdown, but that has been grossly abused by non-compliance. The state government feels there is the need for more drastic measures, and these are informed by certain peculiarities of Kaduna State, being the third most populous state in the federation, being the state capital hosting more than 3 million people, and at the same time Kaduna is the gateway to 6 other northwest states of Kano, Jigawa, Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kebbi State. So in the event of the challenge of crowd control, it's really an uphill task. Therefore, the Governor Nasir El-Rufai feels more decisive and more definitive measures need to be taken. This led to this imposition of 24-hour curfew in the entire state. And going by the realities on ground, the desired result is being gradually achieved. Why we are standing here at Amadu Bello is about the busiest place in town. It's always been characterized by traffic congestion. The streets like this and any other street in town have been deserted. All public and private institutions in town have been closed down, including places of prayers. People have been forced out of the streets. All those you can see are people that are involved in essential public services, which has been guaranteed by the government in the imposition of this 24-hour curfew. And the aim, according to the governor, is to ensure the curtailing of the spread of this deadly virus. According to him, our society does not have the might of advanced societies. Advanced economies are having challenges. So our own case, the surest way out is to ensure prevention. And the best way to prevent is to curtail the movement of people so that we can curtail the separation and the spreading of this deadly virus. This is the situation right here in Kaduna, 24-hour curfew fully in place, and everything is okay.
Many thanks, Major Ma'a, for that update from Kaduna. Passengers in Makurdi have expressed concern over non-compliance with social distancing measure by commercial drivers who continue to overload despite repeated directives from traffic authorities on the dangers of overloading of passengers, especially in the face of threats of COVID-19. Husseini Mohammed Isa reports that the passengers want government to enforce punitive measures on any driver found flouting such a precautionary order.
As part of its contribution to the effort to control the spread of coronavirus in Nigeria, the Federal Road Safety Corps had directed commercial drivers to ensure minimal load of passengers in compliance with social distancing so that the chance of spreading the virus is reduced. However, a visit to the 4 major motor parks within Makurdi metropolis showed that there is total non-compliance of the FRSC recommendation as drivers continue to overload passengers, as some of these passengers testify. Although commercial drivers declined comment on camera, they attributed their non-compliance to fear of leading to charging high transport fare, which the passengers are not ready to pay. Tricycle operators in Makurdi have also ignored the advice as they have continued to carry 3 passengers at the back seat, which defy social distancing measure.
As I'm sitting here, if I tell you that I'm comfortable, I'm not.
Nigeria has recorded 14 new cases of coronavirus, including 11 people in Lagos State. Of the 11, 6 of them were aboard a sea vessel. Speaking on the new cases, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire, called on Nigerians to remain calm and adhere strictly to federal government-approved guidelines as recommended by the World Health Organization.
Those who have had contact with confirmed cases or have returned from overseas travel in the last 14 days should strictly observe self-isolation and then call in or register themselves on NCDC platforms. This is not meant to be punitive, and you should not leave your house during the self-isolation period. If you are in supervised self-isolation, make sure you call in as required, and as much as possible, stay in one room.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Health, Lagos State, Professor Akin Abayomi, who gave the update on the 11 new cases in Lagos, outlined the only medical facilities approved for COVID-19 testing in the state. The Health Ministry continues to advocate self-isolation, reporting symptoms by calling the NCDC toll-free number and hand washing. As the world over continues to grapple with the overwhelming effect of COVID-19 on the economies of nations, economic experts on Good Morning Nigeria have called on government at all levels not to embark on unsustainable projects, as this may plunge the economy into total lockdown. Daniel Adirie tells us more.
Oil prices are almost hitting rock bottom and the economy tipping on a tightrope. The federal government is leaving no stone unturned in ensuring that the nation's economy remains afloat even as efforts to curb and stamp out the coronavirus pandemic is on a high. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, urged the government to remain resolute in fulfilling their financial responsibilities to the populace.
On our part and the domestic economy, we have taken a number of measures to review our national budget and our national plans to enhance our capacity to maximize revenue generation in the sectors that are non-oil, and also to reduce expenditure that are related to revenue, so the revenue will be enhanced for the purpose of distribution at the state and the federal level.
The finance minister needs to come out a bit more to be able to articulate this position she's eloquently done this morning, to be able to calm down the markets locally and also internationally, and to be able to provide business confidence.
Some of the guests, however, called on government to, as a matter of urgency, have an up-to-date database of households and families in the country, which they say will help in giving out funds for relief and healthcare to those in need.
This is the time to begin to build a database. The database of the unemployed, the database of households in an economy, because if we had that, the implementation of some of these measures would have been easier for us.
There is a group of Nigerians workers who are on daily paid. They earn their livelihood by working each day and they get paid. Most of the measures outlined so far, both the fiscal measures and the monetary policy measures, have not taken cognizance of this group of people.
The guest urged Nigerians to remain calm even in the face of daunting challenges and advised observance of all health directives as laid down by relevant health agencies. In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
Social distancing, which is one of the ways of keeping safe from coronavirus, is expected from all, especially among transporters. However, in spite of being mandated to maintain such distance, with a reduction in the number of their passengers by Oyo State government, Ijoma Peter Wante reports that majority of the tricyclists, otherwise known as keke operators, are not abiding by the rules. One of the precautionary measures rolled out by the government to contain COVID-19 in the state is that buses should not carry more than 3 passengers, tricycles not more than 2 passengers, and motorcycles not more than 1 passenger. Surprisingly, this directive, which is in the interest of all, is being flouted by majority of the transporters.
If you carry 2 passengers and move on the road, how will you cope up with the system of paying for your weekly account? Because all the keke on the road are driving on high purchase, 1.3 million.
I should be carrying two passengers in the keke. How will I meet up with the weekly payments and other expenses? I'm a married man with other expenses awaiting me.
Meanwhile, a visit to some of the parks in Abakaliki revealed compliance to social distancing as number of passengers in the commercial vehicles were reduced without being provided with face masks as directed by Oyo State government.
As you can see it, we already have it here. It is at every strategic point throughout the park.
The bus before 3-3, now 2-2.
Some passengers said though most of the motorists are being careless about the safety measures put in place both by the government and health experts to contain the coronavirus, they are taking proactive steps to safeguard themselves.
They did not give us any mask nor sanitizer, but personally I have my own sanitizer with me.
I bought it my money.
However, there is need to adhere to hygienic practices at all parks in the state for safety of the passengers. In Abakaliki, Ijoma Pitawante, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. Let's now join Chinenye Ngonye in Enugu for more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Enugu. With all the sensitization on social distancing, regular hand washing, use of sanitizers and protective gadgets as precautionary measures against COVID-19, some markets in Enugu are still busy with shoppers and traders. Susan Eze is at Uwete Main Market, Enugu, to ascertain the level of compliance to these precautionary measures.
Now we are in the middle of Uwete Main Market, Enugu, in view of the anticipation that the state government may close down the markets. A lot of people, as you can see, are in the market doing their shopping. Others we have interacted with say for them to obey the sit-at-home order, they have to stock up their homes, and they are in the market. What we want to find out now, how many of these people are aware of the situation concerning the dreaded disease, coronavirus? How many of them are taking the precautionary measures?
Yeah, of course, I'm aware of it. I need to protect myself. I have information that they may close the market by Monday. Now I come over to stock my house.
Let's talk to some other people, those who are doing the buying and selling.
We have hand sanitizer, high sanitation, yeah. We have other things to protect our hand. I normally wash my hand after selling about 3 or 4 times in a day.
You heard of the disease coronavirus?
I have had it.
And you know it's contagious?
Yes.
So what have you done in your own personal capacity to protect yourself from this disease?
I'm supposed to buy something wear for cover my mouth and the nose, and wear gloves.
So why are you not having those things?
I will buy it today. I just enter market now.
Why are you kitted like this?
Actually, as they say, prevention is better than the cure. So that's why I'm putting on this so that I can safeguard myself and prevent any occurrence of, further spreading of the coronavirus.
From all indications, the people in town are all fully aware of the implications of moving around even with the dreaded coronavirus in vogue. Like they said, some are obeying the personal hygiene orders, while others have their different reasons for not keeping to the rules. Beyond these personal hygiene orders, the state government has gone ahead to ban all social functions in the state, and all academic institutions have also been closed, all in the bid to maintain the zero record currently in the state. As it is, the state has no record of coronavirus, and the desire is that it will remain so in future. From Ogbete Main Market in Enugu, Susan Eze is back to the studios now.
As all hands are on deck to contain the spread of the deadly COVID-19, most commercial transporters in Enugu State have also adopted stringent measures on social distancing to avoid the disease. Chika Ugu, who monitored the situation, reports that the cost of transportation has doubled in the metropolis.
As the federal government and state governments take stringent measures to contain the spread of the deadly coronavirus, individuals also adopt personal hygiene of constant hand washing with soap and water, use of hand sanitizers as well as nose masks. Although there are no reported cases of the disease in Enugu State, the state government has instituted various rules and proactive measures to ensure the disease does not find its way to the state. One of such moves is the directive by the Ministry of Transport to commercial transporters to carry not more than 2 passengers in their tricycle and avoid overcrowding their vehicles. A visit to some motor parks in the metropolis indicates that most tricycle riders have adhered to the directive, while bus drivers are yet to implement it.
This thing you can contact it through body contact. For we to carry 2 people in order to reduce the body contact so that they will be free, customer will be free, and the driver as well will be free.
The amount that we are paying, we are doing for the account of the bus is too much. We are doing 5,000 and 4,000 for the bus. So if you are carrying 2, we cannot make it for the day.
Despite efforts by the federal government to alleviate the sufferings of the masses, especially this critical time, by reducing the pump price of petroleum motor spirits, this directive by the Ministry of Transport in the state has led to the increase in cost of transportation.
Normally when you carry 4, you collect 50 naira, making it a total of 200. But now we now charge each person 100 naira to make up that 200.
Even food vendors have taken measures to avoid the virus. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja after this commercial break. Please stay.
I have 4 girls and 2 boys. Stephen is my younger brother. I was called on 8th of May that he had an accident. While he was on call, he came out to buy fruit that will sustain him to the next morning.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Una no vex. Una never hear of coronavirus. Prevention is better pass cure. See this thing. Hand sanitizer. Now one way to take prevent coronavirus with that. See, another one we say we go wash our hands clean with soap and with water. Another one we say when we want sneeze, I mean we want cough. Oh yeah, may we dab together. Correct people. If you see say you get symptom of fever or difficulty in breathing, I beg, make you day your day, make you sit down. Nigeria, our culture they promote cleanliness. Let the celebration continue.
This message is from NTA and NCAC.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad. or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Welcome back. Time to join Zinred Digmum in Jos for more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Jos. Further to the broadcast made by the Governor of Plateau State, Simon Bakolalong, on measures taken to contain the dreaded COVID-19 virus, it has been observed that many citizens are yet to comply with the restriction order issued to prevent the outbreak of the disease in the state. Therefore, the Governor, as the chairman of the Task Force on Monitoring and Enforcement, has directed that from today, Friday, 27th March 2020, security agencies will embark on full enforcement of the measures earlier outlined to deal with the coronavirus disease. In a statement from the Commissioner for Information, Dan Manjang, the Governor warns members of the public to adhere to these restriction orders, as security officials will arrest and prosecute anyone found violating the order. The statement contains that total enforcement will continue until full compliance is achieved, noting that all these precautionary measures are aimed at safeguarding the possible occurrence of the disease in the state. It also requests members of the public who exhibit any symptoms like cough, fever, and difficulty in breathing to contact any nearest health institution for attention. Still on the directives, the Plateau State Police Command has set up a team of policemen to enforce the directive of the state government on measures to curtail the spread of coronavirus. Commissioner of Police Plateau State Command Isaac Akimoede made this known while briefing officers and men of the command. Kim Gotts has the details.
Following the state broadcast by the Plateau State Governor Simon Bakolalong on directive and restriction of movement in view of the global health threat by the coronavirus, the Plateau State Police Command has put up strategies to enforce the compliance of measures to be taken to avert the dreaded disease in the state.
In view of the crowds associated with markets, government is directing all markets to close effective 25th March 2020. Only traders selling food items, pharmaceuticals and cooking gas are to remain open.
The Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations to set up teams to implement these directives from the state government.
Commissioner of Police Isaac Akimoede further stated that places of worship, street begging and marketplaces will be closely monitored by the special team in line with the directive.
In the days ahead and weeks ahead, we shall be monitoring churches and mosques to ensure that this directive is complied with.
Social gathering or procession permission of any kind will no longer be granted by the Plateau State Police Command with the current health threat globally. In Jos, Kim Gotts, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Jos. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Zinret. Muslims in Abuja obeyed the stay-at-home to pray Jumat advice as part of measures to contain COVID-19. Abdullahi Ajia has a situation report from the National Mosque, Abuja.
It's a Friday, a beautiful and holy day among days in Islamic religion. And Allah in His infinite mercy in Quran 62 verse 9 and 10 enjoins Muslims to heed to the Jumat prayer. But today, Jumat mosques across the world, including the National Mosque here in Abuja, are under lock and key as a safety measure to curb the spread of COVID-19 epidemic.
فَإِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. As far as I know, the life of this mosque, it has never happened this way.
Dr. Muhammad Kabir Adam is one of the imams of this house of Allah. He puts in perspective the situation.
When there is a situation like this, we have to abide by the situation. A sick person was given permission to pray on his bed. During the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to take certain steps as to subgird the life of Muslims. Then he said, Sallu fi rihalikum. pray inside your houses.
The cleric reminded that while at home, Muslims should seek the mercy and pleasure of Allah through repentance and assisting one another.
Ordinarily, this mosque vicinity used to be a beehive of worshippers and business activities every Friday. It's obvious today this place is a shadow of itself as a result of the stay at home to observe the Jumat prayer.
Abdullah Shajia, NTA News.
The Supreme Court has dismissed an application filed by the All Progressives Congress APC seeking a review of its earlier judgment which disqualified the Zamfara state governorship and all other candidates of the party in the 2019 general elections. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chimuba reports that Justice Inyang Okoro read the decision of the 5-man panel of justices.
In a 1-4 judgment of the Apex Court, Justice Inyang Okoro, who delivered the lead judgment, held that the court, under Order 8-16 of the Court Act, lacks jurisdiction to entertain application to review its judgment, as its decision on any matter is final and cannot be reviewed under any guise. He further held that the application is a gross abuse of court process, as it's incompetent, vexatious, and frivolous. The court awarded a 2 million naira cost against APC to be paid to the respondents from 1 to 140. However, in a dissenting judgment of the court, Justice Sentus Nweze upheld the APC application and said the court can review its judgment. He said the judgment of the court favors the PDP, which was not a party to the suit. Justice Nweze further said it is better for the court to admit an error instead of justifying an error which fails to represent justice.
As much as I am bound to accept majority judgment, I prefer the dissenting judgment.
The cost of 2 million naira. I do not know whether it is for each, which will be 280 million naira, or whether it is single, which will only be 2 million naira.
The court had, in an earlier judgment, nullified the victory of APC in Zamfara State governorship, national and state assembly elections for not conducting valid primaries. It also ordered INEC to issue certificate of return to candidates with the highest votes. In Abuja, Vera Chimuba, NTA News.
Multinational Joint Task Forces counterinsurgency operations in the Lake Chad Basin received a major boost as President Idris Deby of the Republic of Chad called at Sector 2 in Baga Solar Island along the common border with Nigeria. In a brief chat, President Deby offers strategic guidance and support urgently needed to boost the tempo of operations against Boko Haram terrorists in the locality. The force commander, Major General Ibrahim Manu Yusuf, thanked President Deby for his guidance and support, assuring that the Joint Task Force will execute operations professionally and diligently in order to speedily bring succor to the traumatized populations of the Lake Chad Basin. And now sports. South Korea Football Association calls the IOC to raise age limits for players in Tokyo Games in 2021. Kenema Bodike is our guide on sports update.
Asaba Delta State, Austin Edomodo reports that some stakeholders are counting